Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, part of Something Real. This channel, if you're new, offers encouragement, guidance, even some corrective, advice for born-again Christians who are on a very specific journey. This is a journey that involves a lot of self-improvement, um, which may not sound Christian-y, but, self-improvement is just self-improvement, right? So God has a lot of us that are on this very specific journey, um, improving ourselves in the areas of wisdom for life, but also just practical skills. So some of us are starting businesses, starting new careers, a combination of both. So it's actually, you're going to find it's really a ramping up season. So this process is multi-year. I've never ever heard of anybody on any of these channels, and I look at a lot of these channels, okay? And now I'm actually somebody, delivering that content. But anyways, I've never heard of anybody having like a 6-month journey. Oh no. Nope. This is like multi-year. Why? Well, God, I think I said it a few days ago. God is doing so much, okay? Like at the same time, He has all these multi-level purposes in your life. When He has you exit the world system, which might have been your career, it might have been a marriage, it could have been the combination of both. When you leave those safe havens that you thought you were in, and you might have even been alternatively ready to leave. You may not have been like God just pulled you out, but it was more like, I can't wait to get out. Help, God, or even a combination of the two. Okay, where you're scared to leave, but you really want to leave. Okay, anyways, once you come out of the world system, this is what happens to a lot of us, okay? We go through a stripping season. Oh, yeah. So you're stripped away from regular income. You're stripped away from your romantic relationship. You're stripped away from, friendships. And then it's like you're stripped away from colleagues. And then you're stripped away from like any kind of financial stability. So there's a lot of stripping. But then after that phase, at least this is how it was for me, God starts telling you things He wants you to get involved in. And you're like, so then you start to get involved in some of those things. And then He may go, and He may just pull you right out of that thing that He asked you to get involved in. Okay? And you're like, well, okay, God, but I thought you done told me to do this thing. Okay? Now, there's going to be a few of these. Okay? If your journey is anything like mine, God is going to have you pivot a few times, maybe 3 times, a few. Why? Because your safety may be at risk. Oh, feels so good. Your safety is at stake, okay? And, if you know, you may have like a sense of harm. You may have a sense that there are quite a few people in high places that are not pleased with what you are doing and saying. But God has asked you to do and say those things. So, it's kind of like you're in between a rock and a hard place. You know what I mean? You're just a true blue child of God. God's asking you to stand up for Him, to stand up for goodness and rightness and sanity in this world. And in other words, He's asking you to be a truth teller. And most of the world doesn't like that. No, that's uncomfy, because they think they all high and mighty no matter what criminal activity or filthy acts they're doing. They just want to believe that they're in some satanic delusion that they can just be and do things that are wrong and it's going to be all fine. Oh, no, actually, no, it's not. And so you're one of those people that's like, okay, this is not okay. This is not okay. So then you can sense the push against you and it can feel sick. It can actually make you ill. So that is what you call spiritual warfare. So sometimes spiritual warfare just makes you just sick. It just really makes you ill. It's exhausting, and then you come to understand that there are actual humans out there performing spells. This is disgusting, where they siphon your health and vitality and energy out of your body. Isn't that cool? So there's a whole bunch of people, y'all, that are doing that to you, child of God, because they hate you, because you speak the truth, because you're bright, because you're beautiful, because you're full of, mercy and energy and creativity and awesomeness, and they can't really hold a candle to you. Not even half a candle. They can't hold a match to you, child of God. And that's why the jealousy and insecurity is off the charts with these demonic entities that have joined up with human beings. So they form a symbiotic, close-knit relationship. And the human beings are more than willing to embrace these energetic entities into their mind and soul realm. Why? Because these entities empower them. These energies give them some kind of power, thrill, I don't know. Give them power, make them feel like they're not alone. They kind of like support them, and they sprinkle little wicked ideas in their ears, and the humans are like, oh yeah. So it's just this sick, twisted, completely conscious. Okay? Don't get me started, because in the beginning they may not have been sure that they were partnering with an entity, but don't let anybody fool you. They know pretty soon off the rip that they are working with an entity, and it's wrong, and it's disgusting, and it will take those people right into the pit of hell. And what goes on in hell? Violation of every kind and every sort. And it's not a whoop-de-party violation. It's you're screaming, and then it's going to happen again to you. Okay? How do I know that? Don't ask. So, anywho, okay, so the journey is you get removed from relationships, comfort, job, then comes the stripping. Okay, I'm not hanging out with anybody really much anymore. Then you may be finding out that your family is actually a group of occult, curse-wielding, spell-binding, doom wishers, all pointed at you. And then it's not just you. It's going to be you and your child, you and your dog, So it's evil on a whole nother level. Welcome to part of something real. Okay, with that 8-minute intro. That's what we deal with on this channel. We don't deal with it. We actually conquer the living you-know-what out of it. That's what we do here. And, if you are a child of God, that's exactly what you're going to do. But let me share with you, it may take a little time. It may take a little time. But this is going to be the arc. God is going to show you the wickedness of your colleagues, of your bosses, oh yeah, of people in your government where you live, of your family, oh yeah, of your husband, of your lover, of the one you wanted to be your husband, oh, of the one you wanted to be, your best friend. He's going to show you all of that. Okay, and you're going to be praying for, judgment on these people, correction for these people to correct course. You're going to be praying salvation over these people. You're going to be praying deliverance over these people. And a very small percentage of them will actually course correct. And that's the hope. That's the hope, that they don't go to hell, that they get it together and actually serve the right God, not Satan, who's their God. But I think for a big number of these guys, they're I'm just going to say a number. Let's not say it's a majority. A number of them are not going to repent, and judgment is going to hit these people right between the eyes. And what is that going to look like? It's going to look like losing their home, getting fired from their job, for sure, and absolutely. It's going to look like loss of esteem in their peer group, whatever witchery group, circle from hell that is, okay? They're going to lose a lot of face in that group. Okay, because all the spells that these people are trying to do on you are going to fail. And the other coven, the friend group, the text group, all of them are looking at this person like, how come these spells aren't working? How come our cool little midnight, chants and rants, and when we, slay the goat out on the, back cliff, how come those tricks and things, the fun things we do, how come they're not working? So this person's going to lose a lot of esteem, which makes them absolutely go bonkers. Okay, the other thing that's going to happen is there's going to be loss of life. And then the other thing that will happen is people that are close to these individuals, some of them are going to lose their lives. Part of something real. So it's real. It's real. This is not this is not a joke. If you read the Bible, God talks about how he detests and abhors people that do things like this. It says that he detests and hates liars and bloodthirsty people. Well, some of these people, they up and want to see you, DEAD. And they are thirsty for your BLOOD. And God hates that. That is why the penalty for this sin, and the penalty for all sin, is death. So death is what's at stake, okay? So this is quite a journey, and there'll be some times, there's going to be some times where it's going to be a challenge. But I'm going to switch this whole elongated intro into good news, because some of us who have been on this journey for a minute are finishing that leg of the journey where God has exposed all the ick and foul and filth that is real, that was going on. He's exposed it to us, and we're like, we're just like freaking out. And then he, one by one, starts dealing with these people. And he will give you visions on how he's dealing with them. Okay, so if you're on my channel and you be one of these warlocks, you be one of these witches, and you have a YouTube channel, and you doing all kinds of filth and foul on that channel, you either need to get off my channel, because I will be praying against you. I will be coming at you with prayers that you don't even want to know what I'm capable of with this mouth. So you need to get off my channel, or I really truly hope and pray that you will actually get off the team that you're on, and then actually know some peace of mind, and actually have a chance at joy and fulfillment and purpose and passion in life for good things. That is my hope and prayer for you. Okay, and okay, and your YouTube channel starts with a K, so you know who I'm talking about. Get ready, sir, because I'm coming for you. Okay, I'm praying two kinds of prayers at you at the same time. So if you feel a little uncomfortable, that is why. Okay, so good news. So those of us that have kind of gone through all that journey, God has just started one by one tackling these people that are wicked. Okay, and honestly, guys, I've only seen one, two. I've seen two people. I've seen one person in the spirit realm was like, oh, so they were thinking that I was just like so bad, or they probably thought I was a witch. Okay, but God showed me that they were like, oh, that they actually had a demon's hand over their eyes, and God showed me this disgusting hand move away. And so the person was like, okay, so that means they're coming awake. God's working with them. I saw another woman in the spirit realm, and she was just totally contrite spirit. She was kneeling down, and I only saw her from the back, and she was kind of like nude. But I think that was a symbol of like, I'm like bearing all my wrongness to you, God. I'm on my knees, which she was, and I'm just bearing it all to you, God. I'm sorry. So that's two. And then I saw another woman who I know, and she was very humbled. Like she has lost some things. And she was okay though. She was okay. She was very humbled, but she was all right. So, she might be just like learning and growing and, not hating on the shell anymore. So, God will humble some of the people. So, see, it's all personal. His judgment is reflective of how deep and dirty they went with things toward you, child of God. All right. So, then at the end of all that, after God shows you who was against you and what he's doing and what's going on with them now, because they're in that time of discipline and, from the Lord, God's working with them and it may require some discipline. After he shows you all that, guess what? We are now in a phase where God is restoring you, child of God, from being stripped down and scared and, how am I going to pay my bills? And, he's restoring and strengthening you. And he is giving you insight and hopefully some resources, but definitely, some ambition, some creativity, some energy is returning to you to pursue these various assignments that God is giving you. So, whatever career you had, I don't know, God might be circling you back in, but in a totally different position than you were when you left. So I really believe that God's intention for a lot of us in this journey is that we no longer work for the man. We're not working for the man. I haven't worked for the man in 4 years. Okay, I've been on this journey for 4 years. So God has kept me alive. He's kept me alive. And he's kept me independent from working for, organizations that just didn't really reflect, the values that I believe God would want me to put my energy and talent towards. So, this is what he's doing now, you guys. He's restoring you. He's giving you passion and resources to start those assignments. What else is he doing? Well, you know what? This morning in the Word, he told me to, and he's been saying celebrate for 3 weeks. So this morning I was in 2 Chronicles 15, and it was a time where King David was so excited to have the Ark of the Covenant, which housed the presence of God. He was so excited to bring that in to the capital city of Israel and just celebrate. And I mean, my Lord, David, he had like the tambourines and the lyres, and the harps and the, and the whatevers, he had the drums and he had the parade and he had, everybody was in this special ephod, and there was dancing and, I mean, whoa, it was like Super Bowl Sunday. I mean, it was he called the whole nation out. I always wonder what could that possibly be? Weren't there like 5 million or more people at that time? How do you gather? Okay, I digress. But anyways, he gathered the whole nation out, which might mean the heads of families. I have no idea. But anyways, they were all present, dancing, hooping and hollering, because the presence of God was being brought into Israel. Okay, so that was on my assigned reading today. So it's all this theme that's been going on for weeks about really celebrating what God is doing. That God has carried you through this wilderness journey, kept you alive, kept you going, kept you fed, kept you in some kind of housing, showed you the truth, but made you strong from that journey, okay? He made you strong from that journey. So, you know what? I wish sometimes that I could come on here and just be much more like motherly, because I used to think of myself as being nurturing. But, I call myself, Auntie Nichelle on this channel because that's kind of how I see my role. But I'm probably not as soft and nurturing as I wish I could be. But you know what? Life has brought me here. Life has brought me to the way I now interact. And honestly, I'm better off. I'm better off. Because when I was like super nurturing in my past, when I was Sunday school teacher and, HR lady, I could really be really soft, okay? And not no mo. You know, you can't be too soft. Once God opens your eyes as to what is really going on in this season, in this hour of our history, of human history, um, you know, and you know that God wants you to build, and you know that you're going to come up against people that do not want you to build, do not want you to have conflict with how they do things, which is screwy. Um, and where it's good, great, wonderful, we're aligned. Where it's not, oh, well, we're going to have to open this up and we're going to have to work against what you had going on. In fact, we're going to have to tear that all the way down. So that is where God is shifting us and moving us into a position where we're going to have to tear down structures and rebuild so that it's a good, healthy, righteous, functional structure, okay, that has something called accountability in it and transparency, okay? That's where we are going to head into, wherever that is for you. Wherever. I mean, if you're going into the entertainment industry, how exciting is that? Look at Angel Studios. Look at the quality that they are coming out with movies. There's going to be a fabulous movie. I encourage everybody to go see it. It's called Young Washington, I think. It's going to come out on Mother's Day, you guys, by Angel Studios. Fantastic. I cannot wait. I'm like in love with George Washington. I truly am. So I'm so going to be there. So, but anyways, you guys, yeah. So God is saying hoop and holler, celebrate, because you are coming all the way out of this journey, and God is so very proud of you. He's so proud of you, birds. He's so proud of you. Also, I'm going to squeeze this into this video. It's so long. He told me that you guys are whales. And every once in a while, he'll show me an animal, and when I look up what the animal means, if you just Google, like, meaning of, you'll be floored. So let me tell you briefly what the meaning of whale is. Back in the day, when the Aleutians and the Eskimos and such hunted whale, every bit of this animal was used, and it was a benefit and a sustenance, and kept people going and living for months. So they would eat the meat of the whale. Then they would burn the blubber and make like a oil from it. But they would use like other parts of the animal for clothing and household items. It's like every bit of this whale was used. When you think of a human being being a whale, it means that you are a conduit of sustenance for other people. What comes out of you, whale, is going to sustain a lot of people. And that's going to really come in handy, because I do believe that in the United States, we are going to be going through a season of travail as a nation. It's not necessarily going to be every single square mile from coast to coast. It's going to be in pockets. But we are heading into travail, and that means that we are going to experience attacks on our homeland. And the Lord showed this to me maybe 3 years ago, and I'm going to tell you right now, it was Chinese. I'm sorry to say that. Like, we just had an event. Today? We had a military base in Florida. It was a Chinese sibling, Alan and Mary. Anyways, brother and sister from China, planted a bomb at our base. What the Lord showed me was a church that had been bombed, and it was just rubble. And there were people like you and I that were there that were pulling bodies out of the rubble. It was like, I don't know why weren't the emergency responders there? Why didn't police respond? Where were they? Where were the firemen? It was almost like they were so busy doing other things that the people right there at ground zero, the ones that weren't in the church when it was bombed, they just got in there and started digging out rubble and looking for people and finding people, you guys. This is what is going to happen. Now, we can pray against it. I mean, I have tried doing that for the last 3 years. But the Lord has told me that. He's given me other really chilling images of things that are going to happen in our country that I just don't think we can pray against and it'll go away, you know. But I mean, the way I'm praying now, lately, the way I pray is I just pray for people to come to Christ, and that people would just, you know. There's other things that I've seen, you guys, that I just am not really ready to share on here quite yet, but we need to build, because we are going to be called on to provide sustenance to our American sisters and brothers, and maybe other people too from other countries. I don't know that part. But if you're here in America, I'm telling you right now, our country is going to be taking on some losses. We are going to be getting hit. And you and I, okay, are being asked to build so that we can take care of the needy, so that we can fund things like ministries, food, housing, emergency housing. We're going to be called upon to do things like that. So, you know, if you're going into the entertainment field, that's a blessing, because entertainment can reach hearts like nothing can. I believe. I am a huge advocate of like wholesome entertainment. I know it has the power to change a life. So it could be that the income too that you gather from your creative productions, you can then funnel into, you know, helping people, you know, maybe, you know, helping. Yeah, I could just go on and on. So anyways, all right, you guys, so celebrate. If you're at that end of the journey, it's time to celebrate. It's time. God is going to be launching you into multiple projects. You are going to be independent. You are not going to have a boss that thinks that, you know, girls can be boys and boys can be girls. Yeah, no. That's why I could not work for where I was working. And also they forced the COVID vaccine on employees. You either took it or you're fired. You know, and I should have walked off the job then. I didn't. So I ended up getting the COVID vaccine. And that created a lot of problems for me. So, but anywho, I digress. So, celebrate. We need to ramp up. You know, we need to skill up. We need to get the skills, the knowledge, the data. We need to just stay up late at night. We need to learn what we need to learn. We need to join those Zoom calls, take those classes, get in those Facebook groups, you know, skill up so that we can move out and build, okay? And you're a whale. You're a whale. So if you're part of this community, I know I always call you my birds, because you're my birds. You're eagles, okay? You're beautiful eagles. But you are, God says you're whales, and that means you are the outflow. You are the sustenance, and you push out sustenance for a lot of people. So God bless you guys. God bless you. In my book, you guys are the best. You guys are angels. Shoot, there's nothing like you guys. Nothing compares to you guys, right? We can't even compare the angels to you guys. They don't even hold a match to you. What have they had to really walk through? You know, the good angels, what have they had to walk through? They don't go through life down here, and they haven't been through the training that we've been through. So you guys are the absolute best. Okay, take care. I'll see you on another Part of Something Real, if you can handle it.